Welcome back to Deadlock, Valve's newest third-person hero MOBA. Today I'm going to introduce you to a terrifying elder vampire that goes by the name Drifter. Relentless as time, as certain as death. He uses his supernatural ability to track down his victims, tearing them apart under the cover of eternal night. The last thing they hear is a faint whistling in the breeze. We'll break down his stats, strats, and abilities to give you all the information you'll need to stalk your way to victory. At 750 base HP, scaling plus 39 every boon, he is well above average when it comes to base HP. And with 3 stamina, he sees the same mobility potential as most others in the game. Drifter's weapon of choice is called Crimson Grasp. Close range Elder Blood magic he shoots out of his fingertips in a spread shot that does 48 damage per second and has a fall off range of 27 meters. Drifter's first ability is called Rend, which sees him swipe enemies in a cone ahead of him, dealing melee damage, and if the enemy is close range, dealing bonus spirit damage. The first upgrade of this ability is seeing the bonus damage base increase by almost double, and the last seeing Drifter gain 45% bullet lifesteal against affected enemies for 4 seconds. A potent close range spamming ability that has 2 different ways to scale, and once it's upgraded, providing you sustainability in the form of lifesteal. Drifter's second ability is called Stalker's Mark, that sees him send out a mark that bleeds the first target it hits, dealing spirit damage over time. While the enemy is bleeding, you can reactivate Stalker's Mark to instantly appear behind the enemy. All upgrades see positive bonuses, like the first adding 1% more bleed damage per second, the second giving you a 25% fire rate amp for 6 seconds after ambushing, and the last providing 2 more ability charges to this skill. A 2-sided ability that Drifter can use for some decent percent damage poke, bleeding them out for a little bit before you decide whether or not you want to use it to teleport behind their backs and continue the hunt. Drifter's third ability is called Bloodscent, which sees him isolate heroes. Isolated heroes leave a trail as they move and emit a heartbeat from afar. Drifter deals amplified damage against these targets, and killing them grants Drifter permanent weapon damage stacks. All upgrades again seeing positive bonuses like plus 2 meters per second move speed when you're around an isolated enemy hero. The second reducing the cooldowns of all your abilities by 15 seconds and restoring 3 stamina on isolated kills. And the last increasing the amplified damage again by another 10%. A main staple in Drifter's kit that allows him to single out and track down prey, forcing teams to be ever vigilant of their positioning on the map. Drifter's ultimate ability is called Eternal Night, which sees him surround nearby enemy heroes in darkness, severely limiting their vision of other units, revealing them to Drifter, and providing bonus sprint speed and spirit damage procs on Crimson Grasp. All upgrades again seeing positive bonuses like doubling the spirit damage proc on the first, the second doubling the sprint speed provided, and the last increasing the duration by 2 seconds and upping the max targets to 3. A truly terrifying ultimate that makes it extremely hard for teams to coordinate, most often separating them for you to single them out, hunt them down one by one. As you just saw with the breakdown of Drifter's abilities and their upgrades, he is all about finding isolated targets and using fast deadly strikes to eviscerate his enemies. Stalker's Mark comes at the forefront of his attack. Let this tick a little bit if you are able to, bleeding your target out before you teleport behind them and start hacking away. Using Rend to give you lifesteal and reload your weapon if you choose to utilize items like Quicksilver Reload. Don't be afraid to use Eternal Night in a more passive capacity to provide cover for your team, even though the amp it gives you is huge for when you track down isolated targets. Other than that, just try to embody the flow in team fights, weaving in and out, working at singling out separated prey for you to cut down. Pairing with heroes who can cause chaos for you to have some breathing room to work your terror is ideal. Thus, heroes like Viscus and Abrams can make it easy for enemies to lose track of you, creating openings for you to isolate them out. On the opposite, heroes like Kelvin and Mirage can either debuff you, making it hard for you to move around and fire back in teamfights, or have abilities that can teleport them to teammates, ruining your ability to fully utilize Bloodscent. As far as builds go for Drifter, there are multiple paths you can utilize, 2 of them being a spirit build, one leaning more into cooldown items and refresher to leverage the power Eternal Night provides during ganks, another leaning more into regular spirit items to buff Rend, Stalker's Mark, and your old spirit proc damage to have decent amounts of bursts. But the third is what I've done most of my playthroughs with, which is a super fast movement speed gun heavy path that utilizes items like Juggernaut, Fleetfoot, and Veilwalker to give you insane catching power, along with Hunter's Aura, Point Blank, and opening rounds in combination with fire rate items to give you insane gun burst. Later in the game, once you've maxed out Rend, it's easy to lean more into lifesteal items for survivability like Siphon Bullets and Vampiric Burst to give you just enough time to nuke the whole lobby. Whichever you choose, just make sure you prioritize speed, because without it, Stalker's Mark is really your only tool to get into fights. And with how close range your kit is, it can be really hard to do any meaningful amount of damage if you can't catch your prey. If the gun build path sounds interesting to you, check out my personally crafted build, SAMNIC. A couple of build IDs will be in the description for the ones I've talked about. Now that you have a great base of strategies and items you can use to make the most out of Drifter, you too can slash your way to victory. Tell me in the comments your favorite Drifter builds, and anything I might have missed. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and make sure you come back for a breakdown on our next hero, Mina, a fledgling vampire working her way to become the Viscount of New York.